When I was in high school, in the 50s, I had always liked the Tri-5 Chevrolets. Those were the 55s, 56, and 57s. In fact, I drove a 1955 when I was in high school, and had always liked them, and had always liked the General Motors cars. And when I moved back here after I retired, I wanted to buy a car to restore it. Well, the Nomads had always been my favorite car. I grew up in Southern California, and it was kind of the best surfmobile to carry surfboards on to go surfing. And so I thought, that's the car that I want to restore. Well, unfortunately, they didn't build very many of them. They only built about 6,000 for 3 years, 55, 56, and 57. And they're not easy to find. And so I spent quite a bit of time looking, and I managed to find this one in Las Vegas. And so I made a deal with the guy that owned it and brought it back here, and this was in 2009, and started to work on it and spent 4 years on this restoration. I met a guy that had a shop in Malvern, in fact at the car show here in Hot Springs, and I was there, and he was showing his Corvette, so I talked to him, and he had told me that he had done a number of restorations, and that was his business. And I told him that I had just purchased a 1957 Chevrolet Nomad, and he goes, "Oh man, I want to do that." And so I went down and talked to him, and spent a lot of time talking and deciding what we wanted to do. And this car had had a couple of minor restorations done on it before I bought it, but they were not done very well. I mean, they had used some Bondo on it, and they had used some lead on it, and those kinds of things to restore it. And so we thought, well, we're going to do this right. We could not take it back to its original because it did not have the original motor, and nothing was matching. So we decided to do a resto mod. That's kind of the look I wanted to go for anyway. And so we chatted about it and decided what we wanted to do, and so we decided on a frame-off restoration. Now, frame-off, that means that every nut and bolt comes out of the car. There's nothing left on it. It comes off the frame, bolts are off, windows are out, I mean, everything's done. So we replaced, all the glass has been replaced, of course every nut and bolt's been replaced. We did not use a Chevrolet frame. We used a Morrison GT-S frame, and it's a all-wheel suspension frame. So it's just like driving a brand new car. I mean, it's got full wheels, disc brakes, and independent suspension. And so that process took 4 years to do. Long time. I was getting a little antsy by the time it was over, a little bit tired of spending money on it, but that's what we did. I wanted it to be a 1957 Nomad. And so I wanted everything to look like the Nomad look, but I just wanted it updated and to kind of have that resto modi look. And so what we did was we completely changed the interior. We kept the original dashboard. We kept, that's about all we kept on the inside. We put 2009 Mustang seats in, and then we custom adapted those, and then we put a big sound system in and totally redid the interior. Put all new glass in the car. Had to find, some of the pieces were a little rusty, and so we had to totally replace those. But every piece of chrome in this car was taken off and triple chromed. And that's a long process too. So that's why this process took 4 years. We were just waiting on parts. You start the job and you just wait and see what's going on and look for stuff. When you get it, you put it on the car. And so he would be working on other things as he was working on mine. But when we got it done, I was happy with what we had and got finished. The engine we put in, because it had been replaced with a Chevrolet Corvette engine, but it was a 1965 Corvette engine, which didn't match with this car at all. And so I had Keith Craft down outside of Malvern build a motor for me. And so we put a 383 stroker in it, which it's fuel injected, and it dynos at about 520 horsepower. The 1957 is historically popular because they built so few of them, and it's a nice looking car. All the Tri-5s especially people my age. You get to be my age, those are the guys that like the Tri-5 Chevrolets. The younger guys are going for the muscle cars, the 60s, early 70 cars. That doesn't hold a whole lot of interest to guys that are 80. So that's one of the reasons why people, and myself especially, like the Tri-5s. Small block Chevrolet, custom built by Keith Craft. It's a 383 stroker, which means that it was a 357 that they built up and, you know, put larger pistons in it. And we also made it fuel injected. It's got a mass flow fuel injection system in it. And then we put a serpentine pulley system. But everything has been chromed and customized on the inside, you know. And so it's, I mean, you can tell by looking at the engine, it's been pretty well done. I like it. It runs well, and it's quick, especially for an old car. Yeah, you really feel good. Sometimes it can be anticlimactic, only because you spent so much time and so much effort on it. It was kind of like when I graduated from dental school. After spending 4 years doing that, I was done, happy to be done, but it was kind of anticlimactic. Well, kind of the same thing with the restoration. You enjoy doing it while you're doing it, but you're glad you're done, and you just want to drive the car. And so it is a driver. I don't drive it every day, but it is a driver. You can drive it every day. But that's it. I built it for me. I didn't build it for anybody else. And so it's my car, and it's made for me. So that's why I like the car. But it is for sale. So if somebody wants to buy it. So.